Welcome in. It's time for an edition of Soccer Over There. It feels like an after school edition of SOT with all the chaos going on today. We have to have a chat about some serious things carousels, managers being kicked out of clubs for some good reasons and some bad reasons. We're going to get into how Manchester United, Chelsea, Strasbourg, Celtic, and Aberdeen are all connected. And we'll probably throw some West Ham and some Tottenham Hotspur and maybe others into the mix, depending. I mean, who knows? Somebody could get fired while we're doing the show tonight. Seemed to happen all day today where people kept getting let go as the day went on. Uh, really, that's the topic. That's what we're going to get into in the first hour of the show. We'll get into picks of the week as we always do in the second half of the show. We'll go to a couple new places. One new place for sure. I think definitely one new league in a place we've been before. So we'll get into all of that in hour number two. But John, has anybody else been fired since we started the show?
Not that I'm aware of, as I have been going over all of social media trying to find out, okay, has anything happened after AFCON losses? Has
No,
any
not yet.
Not yet. So, nothing that I am aware of after what? When was the last firing that we had? Like noon Eastern or something like that?
Yeah, it was Wilfred Nancy at Celtic. Ruben Amorim went this morning. Since we were with you, Jimmy Thielen went yesterday. Since we were with you last on Soccer Over There, Enzo Maresca is gone from Chelsea, and they don't have the replacement signed yet, although he is in London. And when he leaves, which should happen, unless something crazy happens, but it's Chelsea, so anything is possible. When Rossignol leaves Strasbourg, then they will be in the carousel spinning, and that's got people riled up. So there's all kinds of different
Mhm.
avenues here, but there are some very strong similarities between all of these situations. Two major ones in England, two major ones in Scotland, one more major than the other. These are all situations where patience eroded, and in some cases quickly. Some cases it lasted a little bit longer. I mean, Jimmy Thielen was there for a decent bit of time and won a trophy. Ruben Amorim, got 17 months, 16 months, somewhere in the ballpark.
3 matches, I think, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark. Maresca, roughly around the same. He won trophies. Wilfred Nancy got like a month and a half, if that.
33 days.
Yeah, and about 12 training sessions.
Mhm.
And there's a scale of patience and lack thereof, but let's kind of get into each one before we tie the bow together at the end. Manchester United was the big one this morning. I know you talked about it on SDHAM. I talked about it on Morning Espresso. I thought what was interesting was looking at how it got covered in a few different places. And if you look at how the Telegraph, the Guardian, and the Athletic all covered it, it felt like the same story, but told three different ways. One of them, it was like this was completely predictable. All the promises of patience that the ownership made was BS. It's what they always do about everything they promise. And then it's all about the institutional failure because anytime things get a little rocky, they fold. Another one saw it as just kind of like, this is what Manchester United is at this point. They don't know what they want to be. So every manager is going to get stuck in this spot. Blah, we're just tired of it.
Yeah.
And then the other one, the Athletic, kind of gets into it more from just this is what happened. This is what happened. This is what happened. This is what happened. And I think when you get into that aspect of it, just literally what happened in this case, let's leave biases for or against Manchester United or their ownership or previous situations out of it. It sounds like somewhere along the way in the last few weeks, something changed. Something changed in, I think, both sides because Ruben Amorim's not stupid. What he said after their draw with Leeds put him on the chopping block. And I think he knew that going in. It kind of wouldn't surprise me if he wanted that. But it does sound like, similar to Chelsea, that there were things bubbling up in the background that caused an issue here. And look, Ruben Amorim's results were not great, but the ownership had been very consistent in saying he was gonna get 3 years. Well, he didn't. So, how do you say that and double down on that and then triple down on that and then not do it? What changed it? That's what I would like to know because otherwise, those are the kind of things that if I am interviewing for a job, I am gonna ask, "Well, wait a minute, you said this and then you did this. What? That doesn't compute." And I'd love to really know exactly what happened here.
You have Ruben Amorim said that I want to say that it was re-emphasized in the press conference at Ellen Road that he was there to be a manager and not a head coach. And I think that we all differentiate the idea of the head coach being someone who is just there, give me the ingredients and we'll go ahead, I'll make the meal and we'll sit there and you'll see what the results are with the players that you bring me. For him to be a manager, you're active in the process of bringing in the players that you're looking for. And he emphasized, "Hey, look, I came here to be a manager, not a head coach. I know my name's not Tuchel. My name's not this, my name's not this, but I'm here to be a manager instead." And
So, hold on, because you're leaving part of it out. When he says that, what he is meaning, it sounds like, is I have a voice and I have a say in what I get to work with here, as opposed to you're just gonna be given players and deal with it. It sounds like he is pushing or was, because he's not pushing anymore, for say in what happens in the transfer market.
mhm.
And I know the Cameroonian midfielder's name has come up again. Um, Other names have come up. Yes, Manchester United spent a lot of money, but as we said back in the end of the summer into the fall, the money they spent was great and it made the team better. And they're sixth. I mean, they're better, but they're not a top three, top four, maybe top five
Yeah.
team in terms of talent. So it sounds like something broke in the transfer conversation.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Yeah, and that's where I was heading as well. Our buddy Ben Jacobs, who's going to be joining us on Friday, his analysis as it was rolling through. Manchester United believe there haven't been enough signs of evolution or progress, denials of power struggles or ultimatums, but understand there was a breakdown between Amorim and Jason Wilcox. Jason Wilcox was a part of that conversation where the comments made by Sir Jim Ratcliffe about the 3 years, that they were all allegedly copacetic in this conversation, that the 3 years was going to be there and that everything was fine between Amorim and Wilcox. Apparently, that broke down somewhere in this process. After the comments in October, or alluding to, if you sit there and have that as your benchmark, the interview that he did in October, take that moment there, assume everything is copacetic, then somewhere between October and late December, so that's a 2-month window, things fall to the point to where Ruben Amorim says what he says. Manchester United insiders, according to Jacobs, insist Amorim was aligned in adding 3 forwards over a midfielder last summer, especially knowing that they're versatile, and whoever replaces Amorim will still be a head coach, not a manager. No coach will ever sit above the leadership team, according to Jacobs, or be given a recruitment veto like Ten Hag, as Manchester United's model is collaborative.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we have this conversation all the time here in MLS and with Atlanta United and with MLS clubs about coaches having transfer say. It's extremely rare, and I would assume that there were even caveats to whatever transfer veto Eric Ten Hag would have had at Manchester United. I'm a little surprised by that one. There's very few managers anywhere in the world who purely get their way in the transfer market, and they shouldn't. Frankly, they should not. Their job is not to protect the club. Their job is to protect themselves because, as we see in all of these cases, they have no protection. Wilfred Nancy just arrived in Glasgow and he's already been fired. You have to protect yourself. Number one, if you're the manager, you have to. That's That's just stupid not to. So you're not going to be making decisions for the overall health of the club. And you can't. That's not your job. There are other people to do that. My assumption, and it's purely an assumption, is that somewhere, and the summer is the summer, and with who was available and what you had to spend and how you were going to be able to spend it and what you're able to do, he's in alignment with what he got, fine. I think the line out of the club about the lack of flexibility and coming back to the tactical thing again when that had kind of been brushed to the side there for a while. My guess is that came up here because they were not going to get the positional players that Ruben Amorim wanted. They were either not going to be able to, or they don't have the money to spend, which is very likely because they're broke.
Yep.
And the ownership is not exactly in a good situation either financially. So it's not like there's a bucket of money sitting over here in a safe somewhere. That's not there either. So it sounds like when you say, well, we can't get the players you want, Ruben, you're going to have to change up your tactics because we can't give you the players that we might have told you 6 months ago we were going to get you. Well, we can't. And then that becomes the issue. That's my guess. The problem when you look at Manchester United, and look, Ruben Amorim did not meet the level that Jose Mourinho or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer met. Nobody has been anywhere close to what Sir Alex Ferguson did. But Amorim didn't get to those two, and those were the best two since Ferguson left. So he has a long enough period of time, and he doesn't have a whole lot of room to stand on with being demanding about things. I think that was always a little bit of a overblown point about the tactics and the formation, especially. I mean, I remember when everybody made such a big deal about him starting with four in the back against Newcastle. Anytime you looked up in that match, it looked like three in the back because the four turned into a three because one of the fullbacks would go at a time. I mean, it isn't rocket science. Principles are principles. They're not based by formation. You knew what you were getting when you hired him. You knew what you were going to be expected to bring him in to play with in terms of players. You knew what he needed to be successful. You failed on that. If you're Manchester United, ultimately you failed your manager in this case. You can blame it on Ruben Amorim all you want. That's fine. He could have been more flexible. He could have done this. He could have done that. All these things. You failed because you knew what you were getting and you didn't give him the tools to be successful. Chelsea. Chelsea's a little bit different situation. Chelsea's a really interesting situation when it comes down to what happens with Enzo Maresca. But your similarities are a breakdown between the manager and the club fairly suddenly, and the decision being made to part ways after both managers publicly kind of went against the board with press comments. The Chelsea situation is similar in that way. It's not about tactics. It's not about some other things there. I think you have the fact that Enzo Maresca probably wanted a little bit more of a voice in where things were going on the field. He wasn't going to get that, and you can hide behind collaboratively thinking and collaboratively working to build the squad and all that. That's fine. But that coincided with the fact that there's something going on in Manchester about City and Pep to the point that people connected to the club have been talking to Enzo Maresca, and he told his bosses about it as he was supposed to. And I believe Juventus's name had come up in association with Enzo Maresca at some point as well, although Spalletti is there now, so I don't know if there's an issue. But anyway, and his name would probably come up with other situations too. It's probably going to come up in Manchester United situation now. So it felt more sudden and disjointed with Maresca, but both of them ultimately, in my opinion, had teams that did about what they should be doing.
Yeah.
I mean, is where Chelsea is in the table, is where Manchester United is in the table, a failure by the manager to have them where they're at? I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
Both these situations to me feel like clubs who talk a big game about having a plan. They don't really have a plan.
Especially in Manchester United's case, when you mentioned that they're broke. You can have all the plans in the world. You can sit there and say, "Hey, look, I've got a plan." I mean, shoot, hey, I've got a plan. All right, so fine. Then I could sit here and say, you know what my plan is? My plan is to live in a 17 bed, 16 bath place out, by Lake Oconee and put everybody at Reynolds Plantation to shame, you know?
I don't think it's that case, but okay.
But I mean, it's you could sit there and say, I've got a plan to do A, B, C, D, or E. And then the reality is probably markedly different than the idea of wanting to have that 17-16 out at Reynolds Plantation.
Here's my problem because I don't think it's that. I don't think Manchester United or Chelsea told their managers that we're going to go sign Lamine Yamal, we're going to go sign Lionel Messi, and we're going to go sign the reanimated corpse of Pelé. I don't think any of them promised unrealistic things. Um, D. Graham, I don't know if Chelsea should be better given what they've spent, and I'm not judging it purely on the amount that they've spent. I'm judging it partially on what they've spent it on
Yeah.
in terms of the overall talent in the squad. I mean, you can go out and spend bad money, and it doesn't mean you should be good. It's what you brought in. It's the talent level. Chelsea, they could be third. They could be pushing. I thought they would be pushing for the title. I think Arsenal's been better than I expected this year
Mhm.
in terms of running away just a little bit, just a little. Um, but Chelsea's not bad. I don't think Chelsea's way off of where they should be. I don't. We can quibble over a spot or two. United, I think, should be pretty happy with where they are. But
Mhm.
going back to having a plan, it's not that either one had crazy plans and sold smart managers on bum ideas. It wasn't like they ripped somebody off here. My issue with both is if you have a plan, and in Manchester United's case, you have not had an organized plan of how you want to be as a soccer team on the field. You just haven't had that since Sir Alex Ferguson, who created that plan himself. So you tried to basically do the same thing with Moyes, but he's not the same guy. You had Louis van Gaal at one point, who's very different than Ralph Rangnick at one point, who's very different than Jose Mourinho at one point. I know this isn't chronological. And you had Ole, and you had Ten Hag, and you had Amorim. Like, there's not a lot of commonality in terms of the game models between those. Um, there just isn't. So you need to have that first. The other thing you have to have is a little bit of backbone. And I think when you look at Celtic, especially, no backbone
Mm-mm.
whatsoever.
Mm-mm.
And that is the problem when you go out and you hire a manager who, again, like Amorim, like Maresca, not at the same level, not saying that, but like them in the sense that they have strong convictions. They have strong ideas. These are good things, by the way. If you have a plan, that's a good thing. If you have a plan as a manager about how you want to play, that's a good thing. These are guys who have strong ideas about how they want to play. And it's not about formation. Again, that was the thing with Amarim that just got overblown. It's about the principles of play. It's about who you want to be. It's what kind of players you want to be successful. And it's about building that. Okay, you can say that Maresca and Amarim had enough time to show more than they had built.
Mhm.
That's fine. You can't say that about Wilfred Nancy. And if you're Celtic, you can't say, and Aberdeen did this before with Stephen Glass.
Yep.
And that's why Aberdeen is front of mind for us with the way that one went down, which was a longer period of time than Wilfred Nancy, but similar. You bring in a manager to bring their style of play to the club because you want something that's going to last. Then, when you have a wobble, then when you have a bad moment, then when you have anything that you can get loud people yelling loudly, you crumble because you have no backbone. And you get into the situation where you're chopping and changing and chopping and changing and chopping and changing. And it's a real struggle. And I think Celtic absolutely did wrong by the guy that they hired, did him a disservice. I think the punditry around it, and I've already said this before publicly and in our group chat, and it's embarrassing the arrogance of some of the punditry about, well, he wasn't ever really tested in MLS. No, in MLS, you're not gonna get yelled at for some of the things that he got yelled at for in Scotland. No, that's true. That doesn't actually make you look better, by the way. That makes you look foolish. And it's not a good thing that, as Brad Friedel once said, that, well, you don't have people yelling at people in the grocery store in MLS. Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing, okay? You say you don't have pressure. How many managers got fired in MLS this past year? You say you don't have pressure. How many games are close in MLS versus other leagues, especially Scotland? Yeah, Wilfred Nancy hadn't worked in a place like Celtic before. That doesn't mean he doesn't know how to manage. The club did not give him enough time. 12 training sessions is a joke. The players at the club were completely poor in terms of how they played for him, how they handled things, how they fought for him. Absolutely embarrassing. And I don't care if Martin O'Neill got results before, and he'll get results again because he's going to have buses parked for a club that should not ever park a bus. They're going to be defensive. They're going to be boring. They're going to not have any style to carry forward. And yeah, they'll get a few more results. But that team is bad. And that's why Wilfred Nancy, when he tried to turn them into a soccer team, couldn't do it because their first touch was terrible. Their understanding of the tactics was terrible. That's why I have to break out a tactics board and try to point things out to them. Very, very disappointing what happened at a club like Celtic. And this is where that argument flips on its head of, well, he's never been at a place like Celtic before, so how could he handle it? And other people start piling on, and it's a joke of an argument. If you're going to talk about this game, and again, have a backbone, have something that you stand for. You guys know what I stand for. I want to see coaches that play soccer. I want to see coaches that have teams that play positively, that play on the front foot, that don't play negatively, that aren't cynical. I want to see positivity in the game. That's what I want. Wilfred Nancy is one of those guys. You didn't give him the players to be able to do it. You didn't give him a window to go do it. You went out and you got a couple players, and now what for them? I mean, Julian Araujo, like, now what? You bring him in to be there with Nancy, and then now what? Nothing. It's a joke. So the other thing for Celtic is if you're going to be a club this big and this strong and this powerful, and well, Wilfred Nancy should know what he's getting into. Well, they should not hire somebody who's going to actually ask something of his players that is beyond blood and guts and run hard and fight. That only takes you so far, and that's why Celtic has been what they've been. Very good in a bad league and not able to handle it when they go up against better competition in Europe. They bring in somebody to try to change that, and then they panic. Aberdeen did the same thing back in the day. They panicked. With Jimmy Thielen, I don't think they panicked, but they never gave him the resources to let him build on the little bit of success that he had. He brought them a trophy last year. It's very frustrating when you see it. And 110 brings up the point. I'll put this up on the screen here. I think it's like where I'm going is a little bit different than this, but fans and team owners that used to be able to just spend money to practically guarantee trophies can't do that anymore with how much money there is in soccer now, like Manchester United, Chelsea, Celtic, Atlanta United, Juve. Keep firing managers doesn't fix it, and keep going the downward spiral. They're all different situations, but in general, I agree with you. But I'll also say this in general as well. I think in general, and this is from fans, from pundits, from clubs, as we're seeing, there is too much blame given towards managers and not enough credit given towards managers. It's always negative and it's never positive enough. That's got to change because as you see, let's go the other side of it for a second. Who are the top two clubs in England, top three clubs right now in England? Who are the best three clubs right now in England? Arsenal, Manchester City, and Liverpool.
Well, technically, Villa.
Put
Well,
Villa to the side for a minute.
okay.
Let's be real here. Where are they going to finish?
They will. To me, they'll finish. They're not going to finish third.
I don't think they're going to finish third. I don't know if Liverpool's going to finish third, but let's talk about those. Liverpool gets there ahead of Villa because they're the defending champions.
There you go. Okay.
Do those three clubs have not just a one-year identity, but an identity of who they are as a club with the way that they play? Do all three of those have that?
Mm-hmm. They do.
City brought Pep to do that. Now he's tweaked his tactics, he's tweaked his philosophy. Of course, he's modernized it, and you can say he gets it right, doesn't get it right. He won 4 in a row. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
he's done things that nobody's done.
Yeah. You adjust to what's going on in front of you.
But City had none of that before. They had won 2 titles before that under the current ownership, but they didn't have that identifiable style.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have something that was repeatable. Now they do. And whoever they go hire next, if you're talking to Enzo Maresca, possibly, then okay, that makes sense. Liverpool, they had Jurgen Klopp for a long time. They brought in Arne Slot after. Klopp blessed it. It's not the exact same thing, but it's in the same vein. It's in the same idea of who you are as a soccer team on the field. Cool. Arsenal, what did they do? They went out and they got somebody in Mikel Arteta who had the time under Pep, but also understood the club Arsenal and had the time there as a player. And you get continuity.
Mm-hmm.
You get a style of play. Of course, you're going to get tweaks in tactics. Tactics are not principles of play. Tactics are not identity. Tactics are game to game. I can exploit their right back. I've got an injury in my back line. I got to do something different today. Philosophy, game model, principles of play. All three of those have consistency. We'll go to Villa. Unai Emery has built something over a little bit of time at Villa that feels like it might be repeatable.
Yep.
Okay. Now we'll see if they can continue with it. Barcelona, absolute identity. We know this. Whenever they've at all strayed from it, they've struggled. They lean back into that identity at all times. It works well for them. Real Madrid went to a manager in Xabi Alonso that I think was going to bring them more of a stylistic on the field side of things rather than just being able to outspend everybody, as 110 was talking about. Well, now it's funny, like his job's been on the line, which has been unfair. And when you watched them play over the weekend, he seemed to kind of give in a little bit to that. And that's fine. Again, you got to protect yourself if you're the manager. If you make that decision, you're cool with it. You're the one who's got to live with it. And it felt like they were not pressing as high. It felt like they were defending a little bit deeper. It felt like they had to deal with it. They're also missing Kylian Mbappe, which is going to affect what you do in a game-to-game situation. So we'll see how Xabi Alonso does over time. Bayern Munich, they brought Pep in the mid-2010s to create an identity after they had kind of had success, but not had something that was repeatable beyond having good players who fight, run, and kick. Like, you need more than that.
Yeah.
So they bring in Pep, and they've had elements of it. Vincent Kompany, you bring him in, of course. He's going to have those ideas that he's built on, and he understood where the club had been, and he is, after a couple of different people, following somebody that he played for. So the best clubs in the world have an identity and stick to it. There are clubs who have an identity and are not among the best clubs in the world, and that happens too. And sometimes you struggle. You can be just a little off. You cannot quite have what you need. There's things. We've talked about this a lot here in Atlanta over the last few years. Atlanta United, in terms of the philosophy of how Tata Martino, Frank de Boer, Gabriel Heinze, Gonzalo Pineda, Ronnie Dyla, the full-time managers, not talking about the interims, not talking about Stephen Glass in a situation, not talking about Rob Valentino in a situation. The full-time guys. They all had different ways of doing things, but in general, wanting to dominate possession, wanting to, I think, in varying ways, press or counter press in varying levels of intensity. I think De Boer wanted to do more of that, and he didn't have the squad to, and he had to drop off in 2019. That's why they played a little bit deeper. I think that would have changed in 2020 if everybody had stayed healthy. So, but it hasn't been successful. It doesn't mean the philosophy was bad. You can go find other reasons for it. Players didn't perform. You didn't have the right mix of players at the right times. You can also then get into what managers do and don't do well, in-game substitutions, tactical tweaks, developing young players, all these different things. But in my opinion, unless, as 110 put it, you can just purely outspend people. And there's a handful of clubs that can fall into this category. Unless you can just purely spend more money and have the best talent. Better have the right talent identification, and you better get the right talent, not necessarily the most expensive talent. But outside of that, you better have an identity to fall back on. And I think even if you have that, you should have the identity to fall back on because it gives you a better chance of success. I think identity is the most important thing. And you have to have a philosophy that can be repeatable. You have to have something that is sustainable. When a manager leaves you, when a manager struggles, you have to have something that is sustainable that you can build on. And the other element to that is you got to have some backbone to stick with it. Celtic, no backbone whatsoever. Manchester United, you can say what you want about, well, it went this way and it went that way, and we said it was going to go here, and no backbone because you said something, you didn't live up to it. Chelsea might be a little more complicated, but Chelsea's got a history of not having any backbone, so I'm going to put them in this category until they prove otherwise.
Yeah.
Aberdeen's shown they don't have enough of a backbone to really be, again, because they have to lean on identity. They can't go out and outspend people. So those four clubs are like that, and you start to look at who could be next. It's fascinating that West Ham said, no, we're not going to fall into this trap right now. And they're going to stick by Nuno Espirito Santo. We'll see if they fall into the other side of it in a week or two, but that's a different conversation. You got to look at Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham is another one that could be falling into this area of hiring somebody who has an identity, has had success in doing his thing at a smaller club, but he doesn't have enough talent to work with. It's not going well, and the noise is getting loud. Are they going to have a backbone? They haven't really shown much of a backbone over the years. I know it's
Nope.
different leadership now,
Right.
but I have not seen much of a backbone at Spurs.
Nope. There is a train of thought that if West Ham loses tomorrow to Nottingham Forest, and currently they are an underdog at home to Nottingham Forest, that Nuno could be out the door.
Now, I will say this about West Ham's situation. It's different because you're staring at relegation.
Mhm.
And Nuno should be the guy who helps you in dealing with relegation. Or his style of play should be able to drop in somewhere and be tough to break down and all that, and he's not. That's an issue because that's why you hired him. You can have less of a backbone when it's about saving your club.
Yeah.
And West Ham already had to make that decision when they moved on from another ideas guy in Potter who didn't quite get over the hump. And you moved on from him and you went and you got a guy who should have been able to deal with staring at relegation in the face and hasn't. Watford has fired 3 managers since the stream started. That's true.
Yes, that is absolutely true. Yes.
West Ham, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt here. I will in this case. If they have to do it, if they feel like they have to, because if you do this and you get somebody who comes in and does something to get you 3 points with some brilliant substitution or some yelling at some kid and scaring him half to death, and he goes out and gives you the performance of a lifetime. I don't know. 3 points could keep them up. And 3 points could be worth what, $150 million roughly in terms of being in the Premier League next year and not.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. When you're dealing with relegation, you can have less of a backbone. That's fine. I'll allow that rule.
Yeah.
But Tottenham is the one that I look at, and I feel like they're going to be next.
Yeah.
And we have the same conversation we did about Manchester United. They had Pochettino, and they moved on from him for Mourinho. Like, super different. They followed Mourinho with Nuno, if I'm not mistaken, which actually makes some sense. And then Nuno was bad, and that didn't work. Who did they go? Did they go to somebody before Ange, or was Ange after Nuno?
I think Ange was. I'm checking
He
quickly
might have been after Nuno.
because I think it was didn't Ryan Mason.
Well, no, I'm not talking interims or anything like non full time people.
Right.
And I think Mason was not a full time.
Okay, hang on just a second. So it was Mourinho, 21. Oh, Conte.
Yes, Conte again, different. That's right. I knew there was one in there. Okay, they've been all over the place.
Yeah.
That I mean, Ange and Pochettino to Nuno and Mourinho in the last decade is crazy whiplash. And now you go get Thomas Frank, and it's not great. Where are they right now on the table?
Oh, hang on. Tab. Spurs are 13th in
Uh,
the group. They're in like the second chase group, but literally they're a win out of 8th or 7th, depending on goal difference. So Spurs are at +4 and 27 points. If they get a win, if they get a hot week, they could get to 30, and that puts you like in 7th ish.
and they were 17th last year,
Yeah, they were barely out of it.
so they're 4 spots better. They are 4 points out of 5th. Yeah, 4 points
Yeah,
behind Chelsea in 5th.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's the other element of this. 5th to 14th is 4 points.
Hmm.
So let's chill a little bit, people. Um, if Manchester United wants to say, well, we could be a couple bad games and be in 14th, okay, fine. I take your point under advisement. I still think you needed to show a backbone. If you're going to tell the world that you're going to give the guy 3 years and that's what it takes to build a team, and then you don't, well, then that's on you. And I'll go back to what 110 said a minute ago about and including Atlanta United in the conversation about spending money and not being able to guarantee trophies. They gave Gonzalo Pineda time. I can't complain about that. I was a big fan of Gonzalo, getting to know him over the years. And as I said, when they made the decision in the middle of that season to move on, he was out of contract. That was the third year. And if you've already made the decision at that point not to keep him and it's not going well, it's not a relegation conversation like you get with a West Ham right now, but it's a getting into the playoff situation, which is money coming in. It's not $150 million, but it's money coming in if you get into the playoffs, especially when you have Mercedes-Benz Stadium and you're bringing in the crowds that you bring in. Because you look at the playoff game you got, even just the one, because you were the last team in, you had to go on the road in the wild card round. The one playoff game you got was what, 70,000 people, 68,000 people, whatever it ended up being when you play Miami. That's a good bit of money at the box office.
Hmm.
You made the move because you had already made your decision. Okay. I you gave him time. That's fine. I think he had bad luck, and that's the other element that we can't quantify with any of this. Like, Ruben Amorim's a good manager. Enzo Maresca's a good manager. Wilfred Nancy's a good manager. Jimmy Thielen's a good manager. These are all good managers. You can go through it with all of them and look at luck. I mean, let's go from Wilfred. 8 games. They dominated XG in 6 of the 8. And they lost 6 of the 8. Like, it's 8 games, sure, but if you watched many of them, you saw a team that could not hit the broadside of a barn with a shot,
Hmm.
and you saw a team that was weak mentally when they conceded.
Yeah, they had a lead.
So,
They had a lead, and Old Firm and gave it up.
if you're that team and you get the second goal against Rangers over the weekend.
Hmm.
You get the second goal off of a deflected clearance that goes into the goal. You get that, and you go up 2-0. You get a little bit of luck go your way. Things turn. 110, as we're bringing Atlanta United into the conversation on soccer over there. Why give Rob a chance at the job, but only gets it if that's all speculation. I don't know what the elements of what Rob had to do to get the job. I don't know if the Market had the full-time coach available when they fired Pineda at that point, and you had to have somebody in the interim basis because you were immediately going on a crazy schedule of travel. Um, it's tough. In this case, 110, I think if you've made the decision on Pineda, and I would have loved to have seen him work out. First off, that's just straight up because I really liked his ideas. I thought the playoff series with Wilfred Nancy and Columbus in 23, where you get knocked out by the team that goes on to win it, talking to Gonzalo before those games, and preparing for it, he said, one, Wilfred was an amazing manager and he always had a new wrinkle. Almost every time they played, he had something new that was a little tweak on it, on what they did. But he knew exactly what they wanted to do because he said, looking at Columbus is like looking into a mirror. They had very similar styles. Columbus was further along in developing that style, and it showed, and they had a little bit more talent, and they got it done in that series. But you were very, very close. And I think he was really let down by the whole Yorgos Yakamaki situation in the first half of 2024, where Yorgos wanted more money and then wanted to go. I think that was a distraction at some point in the mix of all that. And he didn't get the performances he needed from players that needed to perform better. Simple as that. And it ends up costing him his job. I think it's very similar to what happened to Ronnie Dyla. And it's different in the sense that Ronnie got 1 year, but again, ideas I don't think were the issue. Philosophy wasn't the issue. To me, his tactical decisions game to game, his lineup choices weren't the issue. I think ultimately he got let down by players that were either misjudged talent-wise or didn't execute well enough, just didn't perform well enough. The timing with these moves is always a challenge. I don't know if you could have hired, like, I don't think you could have hired Dyla at that point at all. If you wanted to hire somebody else, I'd have to go back in time and look at who was available and was there somebody there that you were going to hire full time. Um, I don't know that decision, and I don't know purely. It's all been speculation. Rob's never told me, for example, what he was told he had to do to keep the job. I don't know. I said it after the loss in Orlando. I would have liked to have seen him continue. I would have liked to have seen what he could have built. That decision wasn't made. They wanted somebody who had won before, and they hired somebody who had won before, and it still didn't work out. And they spent money to bring him talent, and that didn't work out. There's no guarantees in any of this. That's the other thing. Like, that's the part we do have to remember. I want to see clubs with backbone. I want to see leaders with backbone. I want to see decisions made with long-term thought. All of this. But none of that guarantees that you win. I wish it was that simple. It's not. That's why we keep coming back to this thing, isn't it? Because the team you think's going to win doesn't. The team that you don't think's going to win does. The team that is just completely coming out of nowhere sometimes surprises you. And the uber favorites with all the money and all the stars sometimes fail. It's drama. It's soap opera. You can't guarantee anything. It's the beauty of sport. So I think when you look at what's happened today with all these different managers, it's just there are similarities between the four clubs that have moved on from their managers in the last week, in the sense that I think you did not, in any of the four cases, have strong enough leadership to insulate the manager, let him go out and do his job. You have had internal issues to some degree. Manchester United, Ruben Amorim might have said, you know what, they're going to have to pay me no matter what. At this point, if they're not going to give me what I want, I'll go ahead and go say something. Which Alex Bassin kind of hints at with what he said, which I kind of got that vibe as well, especially after it happening about a week after Enzo Maresca did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Go out and say something, challenge the board or the leadership publicly, and see what they're going to do. Well, they're going to have to pay him. So he was smiling as he was walking today. I know that much.
11 million, I think is the number.
I got to pay him through next year.
Mm-hmm.
No cut contract. He's getting all that money. So in some degree, in all four cases, you had some kind of breakdown between the manager and the club. I think in every case, you also had a club that was not strong enough to give the manager what they needed to be successful. And that's part of this. if you're gonna hire a Wilfred Nancy, if you're gonna hire a Ruben Amorim, and I know they had varying degrees of time, and you know they have strong ideas, they have a strong philosophy, they want certain things, and they're gonna help you build a style of play that can be repeatable, again, to a scale. You can then have an idea of who you're gonna be year to year, even if that person leaves. If you know that and you go hire them, and that's why you hire them, to not give them the opportunity to do what they said they would do, or not give them the tools to do it in Manchester United's case. With Nancy, it was time. With Manchester United, it was not giving the full amount of resources. Why'd you hire the guy in the first place? Just go hire somebody who's going to be inspiring and inspire the guys to run and fight a lot, because that seems to be what all the Celtic fans want and all the Celtic pundits think that they should get.
Yeah.
Well, have at it. That's great. See how far that gets you in the long run. The answer is not very.
Yeah. A couple of things. Looks like Liam Rossignol is going to go to Strasbourg to hold a presser tomorrow morning local time. Expected to say his farewells ahead of the move to Chelsea. Callum McFarlane will take charge of Fulham for the Fulham match. And it looks like Gary O'Neill is the leader in the clubhouse to take over at Strasbourg when Rossignol goes to Chelsea.
I agree with D. Graham, and I said it in the group chat. Chelsea Blue Co. ownership is smart. They should go get Wilfred Nancy for Strasbourg. I would do it in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm. And to our other discussion about, you're next, 12 days from now in the Premier League on the 17th, part of the 10 o'clock madness, the 10 o'clock window, Spurs host West Ham. So you have West Ham and Forest tomorrow. Let's say Nuno survives that one. Then the next one in the queue for him is 12 days' time. Spurs have Bournemouth, by the way, on Wednesday. So Spurs at Bournemouth Wednesday at the Vitality. Then you have the window, the FA Cup window. Then on the 17th, it is Spurs hosting West Ham for two of those managers that we've been discussing here as to who may be next in the Premier League.
Here's something I'll say about Spurs and some of the reaction this season. There's another thing that's really kind of bugging me, and this is all sports. This isn't just a soccer thing right now. I made a big deal about the fans were not happy that Maresca subbed Cole Palmer late in that game, when his last game. Well, he's been coming back from injury, so shut up. You maybe need to know a little bit more before you decide to boo. And if the booing is not appropriate, it's okay for us to call that out and say, hey, that's kind of over the top, because you're subbing a guy who's been battling injury all season. And you're in the festive fixtures moment where you have to play every 24 hours, it seems like.
Yeah.
Maybe you're managing his minutes. I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't boo in that situation. Spurs fans have been pretty consistent about being frustrated with the lack of attacking football that they've seen from this team this year. And that checks out, again, going back to wanting to see an identity. That checks out. Now, this is also a club that hired Jose Mourinho and Nuno Espirito Santo, who are terrorists to good football. But anyway, the fans didn't hire them. The club did. So in this case, is it maybe a little bit unfair to Thomas Frank, who hasn't been there very long and is still building? Yes, it is. Just like I thought the treatment of Frank de Boer here in Atlanta over a very short period of time at the beginning. So we're talking in the summer. And I think it changed as that year went on. And that team was very, very good and should have hosted MLS Cup if players could have defended in situations late in the Eastern Conference Final. But I digress.
I digress.
I thought it was unfair, the treatment of Frank de Boer, as he was building his team and figuring his team out. I think it's been a little over the top with Thomas Frank in terms of how much he has not been embraced. But in that case, and I think in the Atlanta case to an extent, I mean, we're talking 2 years of identity, a little bit less than Tottenham Hotspur has, but you saw something that wasn't what you had seen in terms of style of play or whatever, and you wanted to see something different. I think there are mitigating circumstances in both cases, but especially in Frank's case, because I think he had to adjust his back line because they did not have the pace that they had a year before, and they couldn't play as high of a line. So they had to adjust that and figure that out on the fly. And eventually they did, and that was a very good team. Can Thomas Frank's Tottenham Hotspur be a very good team? Depends on how you define it. They have to be better than they've been. But again, you win 2 games and the teams above you lose 2 games, you're in 5th. So how far away from you being a good team are you really? Not very. So maybe chill and maybe let's slow down when it's, oh wow, the Celtic fans are protesting and doing this over a manager who's been there and had 10 training sessions. Oh wow, the Chelsea fans are booing about them subbing Cole Palmer. Well, he's been hurt. Maybe they should not boo. I don't know. Can we chill there a little bit and not give credence to people who just yell loud? I love passion. It's great. But there's a difference between passion and expert analysis.
Mhm.
Let's not mix the two up. That's a
And
whole other topic.
yeah, and the reactionary nonsense of, say, Wilfred Nancy not being up to the task at Celtic.
No, there were some lines that, as I said before, were very disrespectful to Major League Soccer,
Mhm.
very disrespectful to Wilfred Nancy and his experiences, very disrespectful to the game in this hemisphere, let alone anywhere else.
Yep.
Um, very disrespectful and very arrogant. And those are things that just look, I'm not going to really take you too seriously if you think that the Scottish Premiership is a whole lot better than Major League Soccer. I don't think it's better at all.
Mm-mm.
I think Celtic and Rangers are 2 teams that are outliers in the Scottish Premiership, number 1, because you can spend 10 times more than the 3rd team.
Yeah.
There is that 110. I didn't see much of that in an overt way. Maybe it was an undercurrent. That is true. I don't know how direct that factored in. I try to give the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise. So I'll push that one to the side for now. But yes, you're not wrong.
Yes.
Um, look, Celtic is going to be worse off for doing this. It's an embarrassment to them. It is not something to be celebrating, and it's not something to be giving Martin O'Neill a rounding ovation when he shows up at some fan thing tonight. And Martin O'Neill's back! Yay! Martin O'Neill
Say
didn't do enough to help Wilfred Nancy be successful. Number 1, so sorry, he didn't. He can be a club legend all he wants, but he didn't do the club very well. And the man that they hired and are going to have to spend a lot of money to, because I don't know what his exit terms are, but Wilfred's not going to leave empty-handed. If you love the club, you should probably try to help it be successful. That's just an idea. And help the guy who's coming in next. If you didn't want to leave, say so. But anyway, it's a joke. It's very ugly what's happened at Celtic. And Wilfred will be fine in the long run. I don't think it will affect him personally. I hope it doesn't. I hope he doesn't question his ideas and his beliefs in the kind of football that he wants to see, because he is one of the best up and coming managers going, and Celtic are going to be the ones who lose out in this whole situation. So
2.5-year deal, and I'm searching for the salary figure if it's released. But yeah, hope the man gets paid and run to the bank to make sure that that direct deposit gets where it's supposed to be.
soccer for good, I'm a sicko, so I will watch the Scottish League occasionally.
Yeah, I will too. I was watching Old Firm on Saturday.
Well, watching Old Firm when Old Firm happens is different, but watching a random Scottish game, am I going to choose it very often? Nope. Have I watched non-Old Firm Scottish games
Yep, I have.
often in the past couple of years? No, I haven't. Have I watched? Yes, occasionally. If there's a storyline, if there's something like the Edinburgh Derby, I've watched. I've watched Celtic or Rangers against somebody when it didn't conflict with another game. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's low on the list for me. It's low on the priority list, no question. Um, I'm all about being proud, like, and I've seen some of the arguments about justifying the reactions. I've seen some of the arguments. Well, Scotland is very proud of their league, and they don't really even watch the English Premier League. Down the road, the other side of the border. They don't get into that. They're very territorial, and they're protective of their league. Oh, that's fine. That's great. I love MLS, but I'm not going to tell you it's better than the best 5 leagues in Europe. I'm not going to do that. I've been very clear in telling you that it needs to pass the Brazilian league. It needs to pass the Mexican league here in this hemisphere. I think it needs to stay consistently ahead of the Argentine league. I think it is ahead of it right now. Yeah, Derek Ray's one of them, but he's not the only one, Alex Pacine. And I get it. I totally understand it, but that doesn't make it okay. That's the thing to me is like, yes, that's true. And that Scotland loves their league. Cool. That doesn't make it okay to say that Wilfred Nancy can't handle the pressure because he never did anything like this in a league that is more competitive and has so many more challenges than the Scottish Premiership. It just does. There's no way around that. MLS is a better league top to bottom. There's just no way around it. Celtic's a playoff team in MLS. Celtic's not better than Inter Miami.
No.
They're not. I don't think Celtic was better than Wilfred Nancy's best Columbus team. I don't see it. I don't know if Celtic's better than LAFC. I don't know if they're better than Vancouver. Like they're not that great. And beyond the top 2, it's bad. There's like some really bad teams and bad soccer. So like it's cool to be protective, but that doesn't mean you can be delusional. That doesn't mean you can share bad ideas and not get called out on it. Again, it's the idea of like being passionate, like, oh, I'm passionate, so I can say whatever I want. Sure, until you try to influence other people to your passionate opinion is valid. And then you can say, you know what, I love your passion, but you're just wrong. You're just wrong. Sorry. And the Scottish league, and I think the Scottish truthers, and how good that league is, it's just wrong. It's not even the what you watch both of these leagues more than I do. It's not League One in England, is it?
Mm-mm.
I mean, your top teams are.
Yeah, but if you take it in its entirety, if you go top to bottom,
how many teams would stay up in League One out of Scotland?
Out of Scotland in the
4?
in the Premiership. Let's see. So
I'd say 4 on an average year. I think Celtic Rangers for sure, and Celtic and Rangers can compete to be in the championship and stay there. They're not English Premier League level teams. They're just not.
Mm-mm.
They're not even close. Hearts is having a great year. Okay.
Yeah, so that would be there, and then you're like Motherwell, Hibs,
maybe,
and you're kind of like, and then Aberdeen right now is 8th in the table.
Aberdeen should be a team that's in this conversation. They're not right now.
Right.
They're not. They should be the 3rd. They're not.
Mm-hmm.
Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen should be 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. So like, there's great stories in the league. There's great passion in the league. It's not a great league.
Mm-mm.
So love it. Just like if you love USL, if you love the English 4th division, if you love one of these leagues because a team's in it that means something to you and all that. Cool. Love it. If you love, Maction on Tuesday nights, great. Enjoy it. Don't tell me it's better than the SEC.
Weekday Conference USA.
Yeah, don't tell me it's better than the SEC. Like, don't do that. That's foolishness. Love it, but don't lie about it. That's all. That's all we ask. Be passionate. Don't try to tell people your passionate opinion is actually a valid one. It's not. I don't get it. But again, we love passion on the SDH network. We are very passionate about the game. We love all these aspects of it. But we'll also try to give you the proper context in it. I think MLS, to go back to that, to finish this thought, is, I think I've said generally around the 10th best league in the world. I don't feel like it slipped from that. I feel like if anything, it's gotten better. You're talking about Mexico, Brazil, Argentina in that mix, the Netherlands, Belgium, Portugal. That's probably it.
Okay,
I
so
think Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Greece have been a step lower. Switzerland is a step lower. To me, that second tier, so you've got your big five in Europe, and then that second tier worldwide is from this hemisphere: Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, USA, MLS. And then in Europe, it is Belgium, Netherlands, Portugal. Don't think the Scandinavian leagues are quite in this tier anymore. I don't think the Greek leagues. Turkish league, possibly, if they can stop gambling on everything.
yeah,
The Turkish league can be in this conversation. I don't think the J League is in this conversation. Not quite. Saudi league's not in this conversation.
no.
There's the K League is not in this conversation. The A League has fallen off a little bit. It's not in this conversation.
Okay, global football rankings.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, so it's Premier League, Serie A, La Liga, Bundesliga, Liga on top 5.
Yeah, and it's Premier League and then 3 spots, second, third, fourth, and then Liga.
Mhm.
That's fifth. Like
Yeah.
that's 2, 3, 4 can go year to year and change.
Then you got Liga at 5, Belgium at 6.
Okay.
The EFL Championship at 7.
That's a different conversation, and I think that's overstated. I think the top teams, especially the ones that get relegated, because they often have borderline Premier League budgets, that tilts it. I don't think the bottom of it's very good. Not very good. I don't think it's anywhere near the top. I think there's a big gap, and
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing that England is kind of trying to deal with right now. Is you have your top,
Mhm.
and then you have fifth through 14th separated by 4 points.
Correct.
And you've had for a while now 3 teams come up and the same 3 go down. It looks like that might not happen this time. So maybe your yo-yo group is more like 6 to 9 teams.
Yeah.
And that's a middle tier between the 2 leagues. And then the championship is all kind of a drop off. And then the bottom of the championship is a big drop off because there's an overlap with League One.
Right. And you've also got, I think, 8 teams in the bottom half of the current table that have been in the Premier League the last 10 years going back.
That's the other flip side. When you get relegated and the money dries up,
Yeah.
and if you don't have that plan going back to identity,
Mhm.
you can make some very bad decisions. I think you have more protections in England than you do in other leagues in the world. We talk about Italy a lot of times. You go down 1, you go down 2,
Mhm.
like back-to-back relegations. Then you go bankrupt. Then it's really hard to come back. England, you have more protections, but if you don't make it back, if you don't at least stay in the yo-yo,
Mhm.
yeah, you can turn into what's here we talking about? Sheffield Wednesday? Who else is in that group?
Oh, Swansea's in that group right now.
Swansea's in that group?
Yeah. Looking at the table, I had to grab the table real quick just to satisfy my own curiosity because it was like 6 to 8 because we talk about it on Roots a lot. So going from 12 to 24.
Okay.
Here's the teams that have been in the Premier League the last decade or so from 12 to 24. Leicester, Derby, Southampton, Sheffield United, Swansea, West Brom, Blackburn's probably just outside the last decade,
Yep.
Norwich,
Yep.
and I think that's it. So 8 of the bottom 12 or 13 have been in the Premier League in the last decade but have not gone back.
Some of them fell out of the yo-yo group.
Mhm.
And look, some new teams have come into the yo-yo group. Wrexham could be fighting their way into a yo-yo situation. And they've potentially, especially with their restructure, adding some more money into that group, they could be one that has all the tools to go up and stay up and buck the trend. But we'll see. Okay, if you want to put the championship there, I would not. I would put it at the back end of that group that I talked about with Belgium, Netherlands, Argentina, Brazil, US, Mexico. I'd put it at the back end of that. I know a lot of Euro snobs will yell all day like MLS clubs can't even play in a championship. I think the best ones can. I think the bottom end of MLS is better than the championship.
Mhm.
You don't have the top end of teams that just came down with a parachute payment.
No. 8 Serie A, 9 Liga Portugal.
No, eight's not Serie A. Serie A's in the top five.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at
I
global.
thought you said Serie A was in the top five.
Mm-mm.
Why is Serie A not in the top five?
I don't know, I'm looking at global football rankings.
John, are you talking about the Brazilian Serie A?
Oh, yeah, Brazil yeah, Serie A, never mind. That's a Brazilian flag instead. Never mind.
Thank you.
Okay. Liga Portugal is 9,
Fair enough.
MLS is 10, Eredivisie
Yep.
is
So
11,
they have it 10.
Polish league, 12.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, and that's the thing is you'll get like Polish league, you'll get I think the Swiss league has had some really good years at
13.
times.
Yeah.
Oh, a little higher than I thought. Denmark can be in that group close, you know. Sweden, Norway, I think are a little more top heavy.
Yeah. Argentina 14, J League 15, Allsvenskan
Okay.
16.
Okay. J League 15.
Uh, the HNL in Croatia is 17.
Ah, see, that's another one. Like I wouldn't have them there all the time, but okay.
Superliga in Turkey is 18. Liga M.
That's surprising with the money in Turkey, and I think it's top heavy,
Yeah.
and there's also a lot of gambling.
Yes.
A lot of people getting arrested. But I think because it's so top heavy, it's not there. But your top teams out of Turkey are better than your top teams out of Scotland.
Mhm.
Just they are.
Yeah.
And those are similar kinds of leagues. There's more Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, I think. Then you have that next group with Besiktas, with Trabzonspor,
Right.
that are better than the next tier of Scotland.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Liga MX at 19 and La Liga 2 at 20.
See, when you get into the second divisions and putting them into this conversation, that feels like a stretch. I would not put the Spanish second division there. You don't see teams. That's kind of the same argument I would have about against the championship. You don't see teams come up and really challenge and shake it up
Mm-mm.
from Spain in the second division and in the championship in the second division. Now, Wrexham is the one that if everything goes the way that they're trying to make it go, could be a team that upsets the apple cart.
Yeah.
They could. We'll see. We'll see if they do. Where is Scotland in that list, by the way?
Oh, hang on just a second. Of course, I X'd out of it.
Just so I can feel better about my argument.
Oh, absolutely. All right. So explore rankings. Yes.
MLS was 10.
MLS was 10.
This did not come out of an MLS office, so it's not biased for people who yell about that.
Mm-mm.
There was a study that I cited on Espresso that MLS is the 6th most viewed league in the world, based on in-stadium attendance, the amount of places games can be watched, ratings, all of that.
Yeah. Scotland, the SPFL, the Premiership is 32.
Mm-hmm.
Behind 2 Bundesliga, behind Serie B, behind the Czech League.
There you go.
Behind, the Eliteserien, who's 23rd, and just ahead of the K League, by the way, at 33.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's the conversation we're talking about. So,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Celtic and Rangers are separate from this conversation. They are better than the 33rd, whatever, best league in the world.
Yeah.
They could be in a higher league, but there are limitations to that. So let's not always reward passion with it being intelligently said. Let's separate the two.
Sometimes
All
the
right.
blinders are not there when it comes to passion. That's what's
No, and passion's great. Passion's a good thing. We should always support it, but we should also keep it in context.
Mhm.
Now, it's always context is king. We always try to stress context here on the SDH network, on Soccer Over There, on Morning Espresso, on SDH AM, all the things. That's what we do.
Yes.
All right. We got a picks of the week to talk about.
We do.
Is there any other news you wanted to touch on before we do?
Not that has crawled across our newsmaker lines or anything like that. I think that we can catch our breath for at least the next 45 minutes before something happens while we're asleep and we have to do it all over again tomorrow.
Yeah, just because we haven't talked about AFCON. Egypt won. They needed extra time to do it. They didn't look all that convincing. The scoreline was very flattering.
Yep.
Nigeria dominated. They have been the best team on the field purely in the tournament so far. Morocco's really close, but Nigeria has been the best team in the tournament. So one thing for our Scottish friends, since I feel like we've been mean, Curacao manager Dick Advocaat told the Dutch newspaper Telegraph that Curacao will play in Scotland's farewell match ahead of the World Cup at
Ooh.
Hampton Park.
Ooh.
That will be Curacao won't be training on the island in the lead up to the tournament. So they will be playing at Hampton in Scotland's farewell match before the tournament. So there you
Very,
go.
very cool.
There is a peace offering. How about that?
There you go.
Gabigol has signed with Santos. That's another story. Neymar has signed. He is doing his recap. Yeah, he's coming back. They've announced. They've talked about it. I don't know if they've done like a major unveiling
Yeah.
because he had meniscus surgery, and there's been some talk that he might be signing a longer term deal than just through the World Cup. I think it's going to be for the year at least, and maybe more. But they have gotten Gabigol back from Cruzeiro as well. He came up through the academy at Santos, so Santos will be fun to watch. We'll get into the Brazilian structure in picks of the week. There's a spoiler for you,
Yeah.
little teaser. But let's get into this week's picks of the week. I love that ridiculous music that I
That is
found.
a fantastic horn section.
That's a banger, folks.
Oh,
I,
where did
I
you
was,
pull
I promised you a song for picks of the week. I
Yeah.
promised you an intro, and I deliver in 2026.
What seriously, where did you pull that horn section from?
I cannot share my sources.
Oh, damn it. That is a crushing horn section. Absolutely love that.
We have all the proper rights to use that. It was very good. I was very happy with it. There you go. That's picks of the week for 2026. How did last week go? Well, I started really good. I was the only one who picked the draw in Brighton and West Ham last week, so I started out great. Then I missed the next game. 3 people got the draw. Then Sophia was the only one who got the Maroons in their win in Jamaica over Treasure Beach. So she climbed back up. So it was all very, very even. Then you started to see some separation in game 4. Larne FC in Northern Ireland got the win. I got it. I was leading the overall table. You got it. You were second. And that was really where it stood at that point. We were the only ones that were in positive through 4 games.
All right.
Then game 5. Cyprus let me down. I picked a draw in that game. Limassol got the win. So you took the lead.
Sounds like a country song.
Yeah, pretty much. I was out of the mix. Cyprus let me down. I'll write the song later. Sophia, Nick, and Drew also got it. So they got above the negative line. Then we go to Serie A, and Atalanta with an upset win over Roma. You and Drew were the only ones who picked that. So it became a 2-horse race at this point.
Until
Going to Spain and Bermuda. So in Spain, Drew picked Girona, which was an upset win on the road at Mallorca. He got the win. He went ahead of you, and it came down to the game in Bermuda. Crossroads and Paget Lions.
X-Roads.
No. Not X-Roads. The Crossroads Warriors and the Paget Lions in the Bermuda Premier Division. So going into the game, you picked the Crossroads Warriors, but you kept calling them by the wrong name last week.
Sure.
You kept calling them X-Roads, even when I told you they call it Crossroads, John, and you said X-Roads again. You picked that. Drew picked the draw. Neither one of you were right. The Paget Lions, who were flirting with relegation in Bermuda, they got the 1-0 win. So Drew's lead held, and he wins for the second time in picks of the week.
Did he cut a promo?
No.
Okay.
He did not.
All right.
He just won.
Okay. Just checking.
You didn't.
I'm aware of this.
You did finish in the positive, though. You finished pretty well. I have not totaled up all of the finals. You have climbed above 2,000 for the season.
Nice.
with the win, so that's good. Maddie finished last. She was really bad this week, minus 453.
Wow.
She's still ahead of you for the season, though.
Not a shock.
Not by a lot, though. That's gotten down to close. I finished positive 7.
Ha!
I didn't lose money. I
No,
got you. I got you at 7.
Positive 7 is pretty good, though.
I got you. I got
That's
you at 7.
random.
I got you at 7.
Mhm.
Jarrett was almost as bad as Maddie, minus 430 for the week.
Oh, boy.
Drew has now climbed, eyeballing it to about 3,400. Jarrett will be ahead of Drew. Nick is still your overall leader, but he lost 131 for the week.
Oh.
So he is back to like 5,700 ish.
Wow.
For the season.
Wow.
Picks of the week is educational. That is true. We try to be educational. We try to provide context. We try to educate. We try to entertain with shenanigans and buffoonery.
Mm-hmm.
That's our mission statement
Check.
on the SDH network, especially on soccer over there.
Yes.
So Drew got to pick 4 games this week. I picked 4. Drew kind of stayed pretty normal with his picks, so I didn't. And there you go. We're all over the place. We are going to multiple places all over the world, some new places. We're going to learn a few things in picks of the week. And we're going to start with game 1.
Right
John,
on.
you got to write down the picks.
I have the legal pad ready.
Okay, cool. Jarrett is dealing with things at home, so we keep waiting for him to join. He has not joined. Maybe he will at some point. You know how Jarrett is. He might really appear.
Yeah.
So
3 minutes left in the show.
Probably. Game 1. We're going to Mexico. Liga MX Femenil, the season opener. Atlas hosting Pachuca. So if you're not up to speed on Liga MX Femenil, it launched in 2017. Massive crowd straight out of the gate. Mandatory club investment. Development first model about developing young players. Turned into one of the strongest women's leagues in CONCACAF really quick. The attendance has been a big part of this. 50,000 plus crowds fairly consistently, not all the time, but good crowds pretty often, especially for the big games. Total regular season attendance rises year after year. Multi-millions watching on TV. The numbers have been really strong in Mexico and in the U.S. on 2day NA.
Mm-hmm.
The fan base is growing. I mean, Liga MX Femenil is very comparable. I think a slight step below, but not much below NWSL, which NWSL and the Women's Super League are the top 2 leagues in the world. I think Liga F is a tier below that. The French League is probably in this conversation among the top. And I'd put Spain and Germany and Germany ahead of Italy in that next tier. But Mexico, U.S., England, and France, I think you could say are the 4 best women's leagues in the world.
Yeah. There are matchups where you do see in Liga MX Femenil, you do see that there is a talent gulf and an investment gulf. So
you do.
And, tonight is an example of that.
Tomorrow night.
Well, no, I mean, today, you got games going today.
Right. Okay. So it's not sorry, I thought this was the opener. My bad.
No, that's so like Cruz Azul and León. Cruz Azul put 5 on Club León tonight. And so it's a 5-0 game. Mm-hmm. But then you get a game like Toluca and Club Tijuana where it's an 8-goal thriller.
Yeah.
And you're in the first half right now of Santos Laguna and Club America, where you anticipate that Club America is going to completely and totally just have a horizon job and bury Santos Laguna. But right now, you're 20 minutes in, you're at the quarter pole. Club America goes into this game at a minus 1430, and it's goalless.
Oof.
So there is a talent gulf that is there, and so it's matchup based pretty much.
Yeah, I think you're seeing the bottom tier and the middle tier climb pretty fast to catch up to Pachuca, and Pachuca, maybe it took them a minute to catch up to Tigres and to Club America. Pachuca is one of the top teams. Atlas is one of the ones who is rising. They made it to the final for the first time in 2022. They're not at the same level as Pachuca. The odds makers, purveyors tell us that. It's plus 600 for Atlas, draw plus 350, minus 300 for Pachuca. The game is in Guadalajara, hosted by Atlas. Atlas mentioned the first final in 2022. They've been part of the league since it launched in 2017. Las Tuzas of Pachuca. They've turned into one of the foundational powers, won their first title in the Apertura in 2022. They are also, and the men's club and the women's club are both linked to the Universidad del Fútbol y Ciencias del Deporte. It's a unique institution that integrates coaching education, sports science, and player development all into the academy and the club's ecosystem. So Pachuca definitely leans into what we talked about in hour number one of having an identity and having things to fall back on and having a backbone to see it through. So Pachuca's the big favorite here on the road in Guadalajara against Atlas and Liga MX Femenil. John, what are you picking?
I'm going with the big favorite in Pachuca.
I am too. I am going with Las Tuzas of Pachuca. Wednesday, I would say let's go to Spain, but we're not going to Spain. We're actually going to Saudi Arabia. It is the Spanish Supercopa, Barcelona hosting Athletic Club. Barca minus 200, draw plus 375, Athletic Club plus 475. So you might be wondering why the Super Cup is being played this time of year. I am too. I'll answer it. Money.
Yes.
It is not just the Super Cup like it used to be. Italy's doing the same thing. It is a tournament. Why? I'll tell you. Money. It is the top two La Liga teams and the Copa del Rey finalists meeting in single leg semifinals and a final, all at a neutral venue. The games are being played in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, at the King Abdullah Sports City Stadium. The first game is Barcelona and at the Club. That is the game on our picks of the week. Barca, you know all about Barca. They have been very good this season. They won 2-0 at Espanyol. Big rivalry win over the weekend. Standout performance from former Espanyol goalkeeper Joan Garcia. They were talking about throwing rats at him when he after he left Espanyol to sign with the crosstown rivals. I don't think they actually threw rats on the field, which is a good thing.
Didn't see any.
That's good. Barcelona go into the Supercopa as La Liga leaders, defending Spanish champions. They are 16 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses in La Liga. They have scored 53 goals and only conceded 20. Athletic Club, Los Leones. They, if you do not know, have the Basque-only player policy. They have kept that policy through nationalism, through dictatorship, through globalization, through the Bosman ruling.
Yep.
They have one of the most radical identity choices in world soccer. Chivas has an identity choice. They've opened the doors to it a little bit over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Basque only in Spain is a very narrow group.
Yes.
But they have made it work. Athletic Club, founding members of La Liga in 1929. They have never been relegated. One of only 3 teams that can say that. They've also historically been really good in the Supercopa. Now, this is a lot of it predating, where it's the Copa del Rey winner against the La Liga winner to open the season. But Athletic Club, they have often, not as much now. I think Bielsa brought them some different ideas when he was there, and you talk about building identity and being fascinating, like him going in there and not being able to just go sign players and having to develop what he has. Fascinating watching what he did with that team and how far he took it with building that identity on the field. Before that, because typically they would not have the same amount of talent as a Barcelona, as a Real Madrid, as some of the other big clubs in Spain, they've been very physical. If you know anything about Barcelona and Athletic Club's history, just go watch some Diego Maradona highlights against Athletic Club and watch Diego Maradona's last moments as a Barcelona player, where he hits the best running knee that I have ever seen in combat sports. Except this was not a combat sport. This was a post-game situation where he hit a running knee on the trainer for Athletic Club and knocked him out cold. It's one of the best hits I've ever seen in my life. The reason why was because he had been kicked and his jersey was half ripped and he had been demolished in this game. And that was predated by the butcher of Bilbao, Andoni Goicoechea, wrecking Maradona's ankle to a point that it bothered him for the rest of his life. And that's why, if you see the pictures of his ankle in 1990, about 6, 7 years after that, his ankle was the size of a grapefruit because of the butcher of Bilbao. So, yes, Athletic Club has been, they found a way to bridge the gap over the years. And usually it is from brutality. They are 8th in the La Liga table. They have scored less than a goal per game in league play. They have had wins over Atleti and a Champions League home draw with PSG in the last month, though. So they're not an easy out. Barca, big favorite, but anything can happen in a cup match. John, what are you picking?
I'm going Barca.
Yeah, I am too.
Okay.
I had to think about it, but I am gonna stay there.
And if you are looking for a closer to SDHHQ example of what Bilbao does, keep an eye on FC Supra in the Canadian Premier League.
They are going down this road, yes.
They are building on purely Quebecois talent. So you have to be from the province of Quebec to be a part of FC Supra, the new team that is going to be in the Canadian Premier League. So it's the same kind of deal that you're seeing with Athletic Bilbao.
Interesting. You can probably hear about that on the Roots, right?
I'm thinking. I'm thinking if they would, perhaps maybe answer an email or something.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
Are you sending it in French?
No, actually, and that might be my downfall.
Yeah, maybe you should try that.
I'm thinking.
Just tell them up front it's Google Translate.
Yes.
And, apologies for my Google Translate French.
Mon Dieu, apology,
Hey, you got me on that one.
Exactly.
Thursday, let's go to England. The Premier League, Arsenal and Liverpool. The Gunners minus 167, the draw plus 310, Liverpool plus 400.
Wow.
These teams have been meeting since the 1890s, like Georgia and Auburn. The all-time record is really close, I think, like Georgia and Auburn. You've had some big moments in this rivalry over the years. It's not one of the major rivalries. I think, it's not a derby because they're not in the same place.
Right.
It's not like Manchester United and Liverpool where that's become derby-esque, even though it's not technically a derby. It's a rivalry. Arsenal-Liverpool, probably the biggest moment is when Arsenal won the league at Anfield in 1989. That's probably the one. But you're talking about two teams that are almost always near the top. Arsenal, we've had them on Picks of the Week before, but I don't believe we shared this. Their original name was Dial Square.
No.
They were formed by munitions workers in 1886 before evolving into Royal Arsenal and then just Arsenal. They've been in the top flight, in the top division in England since the 1919-1920 season. That's when the first division expanded after World War I. So that's 107 years, 106 years, 106 seasons. I can't do math.
107 seasons, 106 years, yeah.
Longest active top flight streak in English football history. Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
They're at the top of the Premier League. 15 wins this season, plus 26 goal difference, and they are riding that demolition job on Aston Villa, who was in third.
Mm-hmm.
Liverpool, not riding anything positive after giving up a late equalizer. Thought they'd scored the winner. Everybody said it was the winner. It wasn't the winner against Fulham. They are one of the most decorated clubs in European history. Their dominance has kind of come in like distinct waves. Like you think of Liverpool back in the day, the 70s and 80s. Then you think about the European run in the early 2000s, but they didn't win domestically. And then what Jurgen Klopp built and that pressing and pace and all of that. They're fourth in the table. They've got 10 wins plus 4 goal difference, a little more modest. But they are in an 8-match unbeaten run right now. Now, they haven't won all 8 of those, but they have not lost in 8. So this is a little interesting. It is in London. It is at the Emirates. John, what are you picking?
I am going with Arsenal.
I'm going to go with a draw.
Okay.
I'm going to go with a draw. I feel like, and I could be wrong in this case, but I feel like you get into this stage of the festive fixtures
Yeah.
and teams get tired
Oh, yeah.
and weird things happen and games get tighter than maybe they should. So I'm going draw here. Georgia has a 10-win advantage over Auburn. I knew it was pretty tight considering they played since
Or
the
is that
1890s.
dependent upon which institution you look
I
at?
mean, there might be a game or two. Auburn says they won national championships that they didn't win, so watch yourself over there.
Hey, same thing's going on with, the University of Alabama, Tuscaloosa. They, like,
Well,
had 6.
watch yourself. They make up like, "This guy in 1943 said that
Mhm.
we had the best team."
Oh, yeah.
No, that guy was a crackpot. Anyway, let's go to the next game on Picks of the Week. We go to AFCON.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Morocco and
Ooh.
Cameroon.
Oh, boy.
This is awesome
Mhm.
because this is not just a quarterfinal. This is not just the hosts against one of the most successful teams on the continent. This is Morocco staring at their nightmare in the face.
Mhm.
Why? Because Morocco, unbeaten in their last 37 home matches in official competition, more than a decade. Who
Mm.
beat them last? It was Cameroon,
Mhm.
November of 2009. Last time Morocco hosted AFCON, 1988. Cameroon knocked them out in the semifinals. Morocco tried to qualify for the 1982 World Cup. Who knocked them out? Cameroon.
Mhm.
1994 trying to qualify for the World Cup. Morocco got close. Who knocked them out? Cameroon.
Yes.
No team on the planet has caused Morocco more pain than Cameroon. And they meet in the quarterfinals of AFCON.
Quarter.
Friday, just shut everything down.
Mhm.
Shut it all down and watch this game. What time does it kick off? I need to make sure I shut everything
2. 2 Eastern.
That's the 2 o'clock.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Ooh. It's a battle of the Lions, the Atlas Lions against the Indomitable Lions. Morocco won their only AFCON in 1976. They're hosting, second time. Last time Cameroon knocked them out in the semis. Brahim Diaz has been amazing. He scored in every game. Really good goal over the weekend when Morocco was the better team against Tanzania, although Tanzania created a couple big chances. But Morocco is a better team. But that goal from Brahim Diaz, he got his head up and he saw the goalkeeper was cheating on the cross and he slammed it inside of the goalkeeper and inside of the near post. People yell at the goalkeeper for that, but he just got caught leaning a little bit by a really good player in Brahim Diaz. Cameroon, they've been really good. They won the AFCON 5 times. 1984, 2000, 2002, and in 2017. Their legacy includes the run to the World Cup's quarterfinals in 1990. They beat Argentina in the opener. They could have beaten England in that quarterfinal. That's still one of my favorite games of all time. So it's Morocco at minus 189. The draw plus 270. Cameroon plus 650.
Mhm.
John, what are you picking?
I'm going draw. I think that Morocco eventually wins it. They're gonna earn it, though.
Hmm. Hmm. This is a tough one because Morocco has not been great
And
in this tournament.
that's why I think it's gonna take a while.
They've been pretty good. They've not been great. Cameroon is good. Cameroon is a little wide open, a little more than you'd like to have when you get to the stage of the tournament. I think Morocco wins it in regulation.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a barn burner, but
Absolutely.
I think Morocco wins it in regulation. All right. Also, on Friday, we go to St. Kitts and Nevis for the first time in history of Picks of the Week.
Friday.
John,
Mhm.
don't ever do that again.
St. Kitts and Nevis.
St. Kitts, Nevis. We're going to go Nevis.
Yeah, Nevis.
Okay. St. Kitts and Nevis. We are going to the SKNFA Division 1.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's the second division in St. Kitts and Nevis. Not even the first division. We're going to the second division. We're going to Sadlers United against a team that has a whole lot of different names. KFC Trinity Challengers United FC.
Wow, that's a lot of names.
I'll explain it in a minute.
Okay.
Plus 100 for the home team, Sadlers United. Draw plus 125. KFC Trinity Challengers United FC plus 150. The Sadlers. Local legacy. They've been in the second division in St. Kitts and Nevis quite a bit. They are in Bracetary. They have the head-to-head advantage against KFC Trinity Challengers United FC. 3-1 win over them earlier this season. They're mid-table, but again, they beat the whole bunch of names FC earlier this season. KFC Trinity Challengers United FC. They have so many names, they don't need nicknames. They were founded in 2007 as KFC Challengers FC. They've been in the second division most of their history. 2015, they merged with the Trinity Strikers. Luckily, they dropped the Strikers part of it. That would have just been too much. That's when they became the KFC Trinity Challengers United FC.
There you go.
Merging two community football identities together. So they are in the lead in the second division right now. They took it late in 2025. They have championship ambitions. The season, this league, it kind of starts in late November and runs through early April. Promotion to the Premier League on the line. KFC Trinity Challengers United FC. They have ambition to get there. They beat the Lodge Patriots 4-0. That signals title intentions right there. John, what are you picking?
I mean, I'm on the sknfa.com website, and the fixtures don't even match.
Yeah, it's not a shock. SofaScore had this one.
They did?
Uh-huh.
Okay, hang on. All right, so SofaScore, okay, there's SNKFA Premier. So SNKFA leagues. All right, so we're in Division 1, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Division 1 with St. Kitts and Nevis. So Challengers are out of the blocks at 4, and I'll go Challengers in that one.
Okay.
I mean, they've only given up 3 in their first 4 matches, and they've scored 18. So I'm kind of leaning that the offense will be there for them.
Yeah, I'm going with KFC Trinity Challengers United FC as well. I think when you're the lesser team, it's hard to beat the better team twice in a season.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they get them at home, I'm going to go with KFC Trinity Challengers United FC.
Yes.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
The logos for neither one were like all that impressive. So you don't get them. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Brazil, but not just going anywhere in Brazil, because the Brazilian league is crazy.
Yes.
You complain about, oh, the Open Cup, and we need everybody in it. No, it's so hard to understand what the NISA is and what the next pro is. I mean, it's so difficult. And then we talk about Argentina, and it's crazy. Brazil says y'all can't touch me on crazy. The Brazilian league. So there's 27 states in Brazil. They all have state championships. That's how teams go up to the national leagues. So the state championships generally run January to April. The national leagues run April to December. So we're in the state league portion. They're just getting started. We are going to the Sergipano Serie A1 first phase, round 1. Lagarto hosting Falcon SEFC. And that's not in Portuguese because you don't want me to try.
Mm-mm.
The Sergipano, it is part of the state championship track alongside like the Paulista from Sao Paulo, the Carioca from Rio, much more famous, much more well-known. The Sergipano, this is how teams move up the ladder to get the national competitions. If you do well, and not just into the national leagues, the Campeonato Brasileiro, Serie A, B, C, D. But also, if you do well in your state leagues, you get into the Copa do Brasil. Not everybody goes into the Brazilian Cup because it'd be like 500 different rounds. So they have these ways to get there. So this game, it is a big opportunity to climb the ladder, to get national exposure, to get national funding. These state leagues are really important to financial survival. A run in the Sergipano can mean you get into the Copa do Brasil, which means you get money every round you get past in that competition. You get national TV exposure and you get a national foothold in the 4th division. If you don't do well in your state league, you stagnate. Now, Sergipe is Brazil's smallest state. I'd never heard of it. I'm learning Brazilian states from Picks of the Week.
Well, I mean, yeah.
It is tucked into the Northeast. There are no national powerhouses there. There have never been any national powerhouses from Sergipe. So for the state league, this is everything. This is the gateway. So Lagarto Futebol Clube. They're the Verdão, the big green. Founded in 2009. You get lots of like comings and goings when you get to this level in Brazil. They've done pretty well. They earned promotion to the top flight at the state level within a couple of seasons. They play at the Barretão. It is a compact but passionate home venue. And they also have some regional rivalries. The Clásico dos Matutos against one of their regional rivals, Itabaiana. It's a derby rooted in interior Sergipe history that traces back to earlier iterations of these clubs because they've probably been through about 500 different iterations. Yeah. So Falcon have kind of carved out their own niche in the top half of the Campeonato Sergipano.
I like their logo.
Falcon? You like the Falcon logo?
Falcon logo, yeah. It's pretty
sharp. I'll pull it up in a second. Head-to-head, Falcon have never beaten Lagarto. 4 draws, 2 wins for Lagarto. Falcon recently, their recent results kind of show that they're pretty strong defensively, but they don't score a lot. That is that's your scouting report.
Okay.
I've
got the head-to-head if you want it.
Go ahead. Well, it was 4 draws and 2 losses, correct?
And 2 wins for Falcon. So
yes. Oh, no. Oh, so I had wrong information. So 2 wins each and 4 draws.
Well, no, it's 4 wins for Lagarto, 2 wins for Falcon.
Okay. Okay. I had a couple that were not there, which is not a shock.
Yeah.
Because having results in the Campeonato Sergipano is not exactly easy.
No.
As I have learned.
Yes.
Falcon Futebol Clube. They're known as Falcon, simply. Mm-hmm. It is a nice logo. I will share it. They get to get shared here. They get some exposure on soccer over there.
Yeah.
Let's pull them up. Falcon.
The color palette's a little different.
I mean, it's purple and gold. It's like what, James Madison?
Yeah, it's very James Madison-y. But it's very, very sharp. I like the Falcon inside.
It's very modern.
Yes.
Considering
that you said they had like 500 iterations, perhaps. You know.
Well, they were founded in 2020, so they are very modern. They played in the Copa do Brasil in 2023, and they were in the 4th division nationally in 2023, but they didn't get past that. So that is where they have been. Let me see if I can get the other one. It is a little corporate, but I mean, they paid designers for that.
Mm-hmm.
They paid people to have that logo done.
Yeah,
that's okay. Let's see if we can get the other one.
Well, and you mentioned green for Lagarto. It's like the main logo just has more red than green that I saw anyway.
Oh well, that's not good. There's some green.
Yeah, it's kind of buried in it.
Yeah. But it's what animal is that? I don't know what animal that is. Is it like a scorpion?
Well, let's find out.
I'm intrigued. We have an animal to work with here.
Yeah.
Corporate can be okay. OG, it can be okay. It is a little slick. Lagarto not quite as slick. Is it an iguana?
I think it might be an iguana.
Yeah, seeing it bigger. It's not a scorpion. It is a lizard of some type, I would assume.
Yeah.
Is it in the iguana family?
Let's see if our friends at the Lagarto Football Club will let us know this. Site Lagarto FC. I think that's got to be like an iguana or something. So club history. Okay, so historia. Okay.
Wait, what?
A rising giant in Sergipe football, Lagarto is working to put its city on the map of the country's biggest clubs. Hometown of former Spanish national team striker Diego Costa. The club is pursuing a
Huh?
consistent project and advancing season after season towards the main national competitions. Lizard. It is a lizard.
Well, lizard is broad because like I'm seeing other places where they're talking about lions, and I'm like, there's no lion.
Mm-mm.
Like, and I've seen some other logos that I'm not sure if they are like of Lagarto or if they are actual real from Lagarto, and they look more crocodile.
Okay, so according to Lagarto website, the color
Okay.
green adorns the city and the lizard mascot symbolizes resilience and belonging. The nickname, quote, Lizard of the Interior reflects local pride and the tradition of packed stands at the Baratao Stadium.
Paratao.
And let's see, starting in 2018, the project received administrative and financial support from Diego Costa, increasing its structure and ambition. In 21, they achieved second place in the Sergipe State Championship, securing an unprecedented spot in the 2022 Serie D and returning the club to the 2022 Copa do Brasil.
Okay.
Club is a powerhouse in futsal.
Uh-huh.
2012, it won the Northeast Cup against Alto Santos CE and the state championship against Itaporanga. In 2017, it lifted the TV Sergipe Cup against Aracaju Futsal. The sport is a pillar of the sports project, revealing athletes and expanding the Lagarto brand. The Baratao hosts Palmeiras' games and is the focal point for the team and its fans. Paulo Barreto de Meneses Stadium, otherwise known as the Baratao.
Paratao.
The club has previously played at the Mendonçao in Itabaiana, but the Baratao remains a landmark for the city and surrounding region. The classic match against Associação Olímpica de Itabaiana ignites the state. It is the Clásico dos Matutos, the country folk
Yes.
classic.
Country folk classic. Okay.
A duel that usually draws the largest crowds in the interior, recognized as the fourth biggest classic in Sergipe and the first in the interior in terms of reach and attendance.
The fourth biggest in Sergipe.
Uh-huh.
Okay. We're really stretching here.
Yeah, Lagarto invests in training infrastructure and processes to transform regional talent into performance. New training center and local partnerships strengthen this path. Idea is simple: compete, discover talent, and give back to the city a sustainable, modern, and victorious club. So the Lizard of the Interior.
Lizard, but we don't know what kind of lizard.
No, just says lizard.
It's just a lizard.
Just a lizard.
The lizard of the interior against the falcon.
Mm-hmm.
Who you picking? Falcons plus 150 because they're on the road. Draw plus 125. Lagarto plus 100. This is game one of the Serie A1 in the Sergipano.
Yep, we're going with the home team. We're going Lagarto because, you got to be the Lizard of the Interior,
Sure.
And so I'm going to go Lagarto. And, Diego Costa, maybe some of his Diego Costa-ness has become a part of their fabric as well on the field as well.
I'm going draw because Diego Costa is maybe not the best person you want as your benefactor. If he's going to give you money, that's cool. But, don't take lessons from Diego Costa.
Don't act like Diego Costa. Take the man's money.
Yes, take his money. Don't pull the shenanigans of Diego Costa.
No.
So I think that will rub off in a negative way on the Lizards, and the Falcon will get at least a point out of this one on the road. I think a draw.
There you go.
I'm going draw. Let's go to Italy. We have a back-to-back on Sunday in Italy on two ends of the spectrum.
Okay.
The early game. We're going to the third division. Monopoli hosting Syracuse. In the third division. We don't have odds. It's plus 100 for Monopoly. Or Monopoly, I'm not sure. The draw plus 125. Syracuse plus 150. This is Apulia versus Sicily. They're on the margins of the spotlight in Italy. Monopoly, they have been pretty stable in the third division. They've been pretty much there most of the time. Syracuse is like all over the map. Sometimes good, sometimes maybe.
Sometimes not. Sometimes it may be good.
It's tough. The thing about the third division in Italy, and Nick has talked about this in the past, Like, you see teams who get relegated from the top flight, and they go to Serie B, and then they get relegated again because it's very difficult when you go down to stabilize. A lot of times you get to the 3rd division and you might stabilize and stay in what is basically hell,
Mhm.
or you fall through the trapdoor and then you go bankrupt and then everything happens and you have multiple team names over years and you get to buy back your old identity and all this stuff. The 3rd tier in Italy is split into 3 regional groups. And it's by like north, middle, south. The group winners of the 3, so 3 teams go straight up. The others go into, and I can't remember how many from each group go, the most ridiculous promotion playoff you can possibly imagine. It is insanity.
Like it's 6.
It's like so 18 teams
Mm,
fighting it out for one spot. It's crazy. It is the lowest professional level in Italy, and it's one of the hardest leagues in Europe to get out of
mm.
because of that. Because you got to win your group or you go into playoff hell.
I mean, Salernitana is in this group right now.
Yeah, they were in Serie A like a couple years ago.
Serie C.
So
Crotone's in this group.
Group C of the 3rd division is the craziest of the 3 because the travel is insane because this is the southern one. You get the islands in the mix. This is where it gets really difficult. You've got like some teams that are pretty stable. You've got a few teams that are like, we can get back to Serie A. And then you've got others who are just like, we might show up this week. We might not. We don't know.
Mm,
It depends on if we can get there and get a ferry to the game
yeah.
because you have to deal with that.
Mhm.
So Monopoly, the I Gabbiani, the Seagulls, they are from Apulia. They have spent most of their modern history bouncing between the 3rd and the 4th divisions. Their stadium, the Stadio Vito Simeone Veneziani, it
'Kay,
sits near the Adriatic coast, so a seaside identity
'kay.
in the 3rd division here. They've kind of stabilized here in the mid 2010s. Difficult road trip. They have been a really good defensive team over the years. They enter the game in mid-table form, 7-6-6. They got a 2-1 win recently over Potenza, but they've been inconsistent. Siracusa, Girassuri, they are in one of Europe's oldest continuously inhabited cities. They've also been bankrupt many times.
Yes.
They have spent long stretches in the 3rd and 4th divisions, often rebuilding after financial resets, which happens a lot. They are Sicilian, very Sicilian, regional pride. Strong traveling support for the Sicilian club. They come into this lower half of Group C, 6 wins, 3 draws, 11 losses this season. Slightly negative goal differential, so they've been okay, but haven't been able to turn some. They haven't had big losses. They haven't been great on the road. Like they're going to be on the road in this one. They have shown that they can win, but they come into this as the underdog. They come in at plus 150, draw plus 125. Monopoly plus 100. John, what are you picking?
Let's see. Head-to-head history. Each team in the 9 matches, each team has won twice, and we have 5 draws. Last time the 2 teams played was August 31st of last year, and Monopoly won 2-1.
On the road.
Time before that, it was May the 5th of 2019. Monopoly won that one 4-1. So Monopoly, by the way, they were 0-5-2 going into the last 2 times that they played Siracusa, and they've won the last 2.
Okay.
Let's see. In the table, Monopoly has won 2 in a row, and Siracusa has won 2 in a row. They're unbeaten in their last 4.
Mm.
But I think the road trip is going to take a lot out of Siracusa. I'm going to go with Monopoly in this one.
How far is that road trip actually? Now I'm intrigued.
Google Maps.
Syracuse to Monopoly. I wonder if I can get this. Is there a ferry involved?
Why don't you go stadium?
No, there might be a ferry. If you drive it, it's 7 hours and 22 minutes. If that is correct,
Wow.
which I think it is. That looks correct. That's a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess there is. I don't know getting from Syracuse to the mainland. I'm not sure how that part works, but they got a long way to go.
Let's see. So see all options. Find transport. Let's see. Literally, it is.
Is there a bridge? I think there's a bridge. Maybe it's a ferry.
Yeah. So drive and ferry or train or bus.
Yeah, I think it's a ferry. Yeah, there's not a bridge. Sorry, no bridge.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so you got to drive up here, then you got to get in the ferry, then you got to get over to the mainland, then you got a long way to drive.
mm-hmm.
And
7 hours and 15 minutes where you drive and take a ferry from Syracuse to Monopoly. And
yeah, this route includes a ferry.
yeah.
Eesh.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an easy trip.
No, if you took a train, it would be 11 hours and 14 minutes. If you took a bus, it'd be 10 hours and 45. If you taxied and flew to Catania Fontanarossa Airport and then took a bus, it's 3 hours and 17 minutes.
Whew. That's a long way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with a draw.
Okay.
Because I think there's a lot of draws at this level. Lots and lots of draws. Very tight defensively. I think they'll get there and they will park a bus and a ferry and maybe a plane in front of their goal.
Martin O'Neill would be proud.
He would be. And Syracuse will get a point. I
Mm.
go draw. You going with Monopoly?
I'm going with Monopoly.
Okay. And then we go to the top flight in Italy for the final game of the week. It is Fiorentina and Milan. Milan have had some difficult nights in Florence over the years. Fiorentina has been kind of the second tier of Serie A, stepping up and punching people in the face over the years. And Milan have been one of those that's been punched in the face a few times. One thing I did learn, La Viola, the purple you think of with Fiorentina, it was, according to some stories, it was an accident. They had red and white as their early colors, and they were ruined in the wash, and it became purple.
Oh, yes.
I hope that's true. They are one of the many clubs that went bankrupt and were refounded in 2002. They started in the Serie C, and they climbed back up within 2 seasons. One of the great rebirth stories. Now they come into this struggling. They're in 18th in the table with just 2 wins.
I got them 19th.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I got them 19th at 2, 6, and 10. 18 matches played, 12 points.
Might have been goal differential that had them. They're both on 12 points.
Yeah.
You are incorrect, sir. They have a better goal differential than Pisa.
Okay, well, like I said, I'm staring at Odds Portal, and they've got them 19th.
John, just listen to what I'm saying when I say this.
Mhm.
Fiorentina and Pisa both have 12 points.
Yeah.
Fiorentina is minus 10. Pisa is minus 12.
And Verona is, Verona's minus 15.
Yes.
Mhm.
So Fiorentina would be 18, Pisa 19, Verona 20, all on 12. The point about Fiorentina is this, though. 2 wins all season. 2 in their last 3 matches.
Yeah.
So maybe they are not quite as bad as we thought they were. We thought they'd be fighting for European spots. Now they're trying to stay up. They're 3 points from safety.
5-1 hosting Udinese, and then 1-0 at home against Jamie Vardy and Cremonese.
Mm-hmm. Milan, they're really good. They are second, 38 points, plus 15 on the goal difference. They've won their last 2. Very consistent, very, very good. They're not playing in Europe, but they got to go to Florence here. It's not easy. Fiorentina plus 270, the draw plus 240, Milan minus 105. They play midweek as well, both teams.
Mhm.
John, what are you picking?
Let's see. So, Milan hosts Genoa, on the 8th, and they are favored at home on that one. So they're at home, and then they go to Fiorentina after that. Fiorentina goes to Lazio on Wednesday afternoon. So Fiorentina has to go on the road to play Lazio before the weekend where they're at home taking on AC Milan, who was at home before this match in the 2-match week. I'm going with AC Milan in this one.
I am going to go with Milan as well, even though they have a 3 to 3.5 hour drive ahead of them on the A1 Autostrada,
Oh, I
or
figure they're flying to that, man.
they could take the high speed train and be there in less than 2 hours.
Oh, I figure that's what they're doing.
They might do the high speed train. We'll have to find out. Let's see if we can find some travel journey of Milan as they head to Florence. They might get punched in the mouth. They might get the win. I think they will get the win. But Florence is, I think they're going to stay up. I think they're going to stay up. Genoa is 3 points ahead of them. They're on 15. Lecce's on 17. Parma's on 18. Cagliari's on 18 as well. I'm not exactly all that strong on Cremonese and Jamie Vardy. They're on 21.
Yeah, I think Pisa and Hellas Verona go down, and it's
Udinese is not good defensively. They're giving up 29 goals. So I think you got to include them in this mix as well, especially because they got beat 5-1 by Fiorentina.
mhm.
Um, that gets you to 22. I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah,
where the break is.
yeah.
Sassuolo. Torino's a -8 goal differential on 23 points. So they've had some big swings. Sassuolo's positive on goal difference. That's top half. I think top 10's good.
Yeah.
Torino, Udinese could swing the other way. I do think Fiorentina stays up. That'll be my bold prediction of the night.
Yeah, Cremonese's lost 3 of 4, by the way.
Yeah, Fiorentina, 2 of their last 3 wins.
Genoa's lost, Genoa
3 of
has
their last 4.
yeah, only 1 point in their last 4, so I'm looking at probably Genoa, Hellas Verona, and Pisa.
I think Cremonese might fall into that as well. I think Udinese could fall into that as well. It's gonna get interesting on the bottom end for sure. The top end's really good too. I mean, Inter's on 39, Milan's on 38, Napoli's on 37. Then you have a fall to Juve on 33 with Roma, and
Mhm.
then Como's on 30.
Yeah,
Don't
man.
completely rule them out of the mix. They've won back to back.
Love what Cesc Fabregas is doing.
Yeah, he's going to be one of those guys. We talk about all these clubs, and this is you go back to tie everything together. He's building an identity. He's building a style of play. You know, it's been formed, and it's an interesting mix. It's kind of why Xabi Alonso is so fascinating to me, because Xabi played for both Mourinho and Pep, and he went to Pep intentionally to go to Bayern late in his career to learn. So you see it in his style of play. Like he's not like a pure Pep disciple. He's not a pure Mourinho disciple. Fabregas played for Wenger for so long, but he's from the Barca school. He went to Barca to play for Pep. So, like, you get the Wenger element tied into it as well from his time at Arsenal. So, you get an interesting melting pot stylistically for Cesc Fabregas. So, he's going to go to a bigger club in the next 2 seasons, I think. I don't think he's gonna be at Como by the time we get to the start of 28. I don't think.
Yeah.
Unless they somehow jump and establish themselves as a Champions League club. And then maybe he stays a little bit longer, but his name will come up with Manchester United. His name will come up. It won't come up with Chelsea because they've already made their decision, it looks like. He's not going to Celtic. Um, his name will come up with Manchester United. Xavi's name has come up there. Maresca's name has come up there, which would be an interesting turn of events.
Mhm.
The tables have turned. The turns have
Mhm.
tabled.
Yes, they have.
That would be fascinating. But yeah, Fabregas is going to get mentioned. He's in a good spot though that I don't think he is dying to make a move yet. Like he could have Como in the Champions League next year. That'd be amazing. That'd be an amazing story. That's a fun team to watch. It's very interesting the way that they play. That's a team that I definitely would put on the list to check in on as the season goes on.
Mhm.
But Serie A, top end is going to be very, very interesting among the top 6, and the bottom end from the last 9 to 10 could get really interesting on the relegation side as well.
All right, what's the tiebreaker?
The tiebreaker, I picked an interesting one this time. The number of red cards in the 4 AFCON quarterfinals. How many red cards are going to be shown? In 4 games in AFCON quarterfinals.
Okay.
How many red cards? I'm going to go with 1.
Okay.
I think you'll have 1 game where you'll have a red card.
I'll go 2.
You go 2. Okay.
Mhm.
It's been a fair number of red cards in the tournament, but it hasn't felt egregious.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with 1.
Yeah. So I figure that emotions are gonna get high and we're gonna see a little more than just 1. I think you'll have chaos and it will result in, uh and any red card, it could be a coach getting sent off.
It could
Any
be a coach getting sent off. It could be 2 yellows, any red cards.
Okay, yeah, so 2. I think a coach is gonna lose his ish, and I think you're gonna get another red from another one, so that's why I think
I'm
it'll
just
be
1.
1. I'll go 1 from a player and 1 from a coach.
I'm just 1. Just 1. That's all. Nicholas Bentner hasn't done anything interesting.
Boo.
He stayed pretty quiet these days.
Boo.
I have seen the usual stuff on Mauro Icardi in terms of being mentioned with places. I don't know if any more have popped up. Oh, yep. I think we got a new one.
Uh-oh.
I think we got a new one. Atletico Mineiro. Have we had them in the mix before?
No.
Yeah, I think that's a new one.
Yeah.
Their name has popped up according to reports in the Brazilian media. Galatasaray want 9.5 million euro right now for Icardi, who's out of contract in the summer. Galatasaray is drunk. He's out of contract at the end of the season. They're not getting 9.5.
Mm-mm.
Current market value shown is 6 million euro, according to Transfermarkt. He scored 9 in 23 games this year. So, I mean, we joke about it, and his life off the pitch is bat-ish,
Mhm.
but he scored goals. Like, this year he scored goals. He's what, 32, 33? I mean, he's getting up there, but he's still a guy who can get you goals. So, don't think too low of this man. He had 25 goals in the 2023-2024 season. Had a big injury, kind of lost his role. Now he's going to be out of contract. So, El Grafico in Argentina is reporting that they want a 50% pay cut to re-sign him. So there's all kinds of options about where he could go. Elche, Oviedo. He doesn't want to go to Saudi Arabia or Qatar. River has been mentioned. Now Atletico Mineiro. I have not seen our Mexican friends mentioned much lately. Agents trying to get him to a better tier team in Italy, but it doesn't seem like that's going anywhere. Milan and Roma are the ones that have popped up there. They are going in. Do they have a Super Cup? They do a weird Super Cup too in Turkey. I am not surprised. He is going into the Super Cup semifinal showdown with Trabzonspor. It's a semifinal. Blah 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 blah. He recently broke the club scoring record that had been held by Georgie Hadji, which was a big deal. He's 31 years old. He is 2 goals away from becoming Galatasaray's highest scoring foreign player. That is where he stands right now. So we'll see. He says he's fighting till the end. He's trying to score goals, and the rest of it will all sort itself out.
Mhm.
So we'll see.
Let's see if it sorts itself out.
God, where do they play their Super Cup in Turkey? Do they actually play it in Turkey?
I think they do.
So they do the silly Super Cup. It is sponsored. It is gonna be
The Turkcell Super Cup.
Yeah, it is the 52nd edition. They announced the change in May of 2025. So it's the Yeah, it's the same idea. It's the top 2 in the league and the finalists in the cup, and they play in the Super Cup. It is in Turkey, so thumbs up to that. You didn't move it out to another country.
Yeah.
But still, a Super Cup that is a tournament, that is a semifinal and a final, I am not high on.
Mm-mm.
I am not a fan of. So it is Galatasaray, it is Fenerbahce, it is Trabzonspor, and it is Samsunspor.
Huh.
They were the 3rd team in the league because Galatasaray won both. They did the double. Trabzonspor were the finalists who lost in the cup. So then you had to go to 3rd place in the Turkish league, and that got you to Samsunspor, their first time in the Super Cup. They're in Samsun,
Mm-hmm.
southern coast of the Black Sea.
And they are 6th in the table currently, and they've lost 3 in a row.
That's not good.
No.
That's it for picks of the week. You got anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
I don't think Wanda Icardi's done anything stupid, although there's no telling with Wanda. We'll double check.
Give it time.
Um,
Now the 1AA championship game is 9 minutes to go regulation. Montana State number 2 in the country, leading Illinois State by 7.
Okay.
So
Wanda Icardi has come up in a search. I'm
Uh-oh.
making sure it's not anything that I should not talk about.
Uh-oh.
Has Wanda popped up on the TikTok? Getting TikTok mentions. So what I usually do to peel back the curtain, we go to the Google News search, and then we go by sort by date. We're in a bunch of TikToks. It could just be shenanigans. So
yeah. I mean, I think
that all looks like shenanigans, but with Wanda, that could definitely be different kinds of shenanigans.
Yeah.
It looks like she went shopping somewhere. Okay. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of Wanda Gate tags on TikTok. So viewer discretion advised. I'm just going to say that for sure.
Yeah, caveat emptor, as they say.
Just be careful if you're going to go search for that, because
Nashville apparently looks like it's a sellout at Vanderbilt for this game.
Oh, very nice.
And 3rd down stop for Illinois State at 9:07. So 4th down, and Montana State's got a punt.
You're a sicko, John.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's some sicko behavior right
Well,
there.
I mean, it slipped my mind completely that Wisconsin River Falls and North Central College played last night in Canton, Ohio.
That's even more of sicko behavior.
The Division III championship with the juggernaut that is North Central College, that in the last 5 Division III championship games in American football, either won or finished runner-up. And so the Wisconsin River Falls Falcons came up after the last-minute win against Johns Hopkins in the semifinal.
Jeez.
And they went to Canton, Ohio, and they knocked off the number 1 team in the country to get the win in their first ever championship in Division III American football. They'd never been to the playoffs since until 2021 as a program. They were awful.
I think the fact that I finished my Fernet and Coke means it's time for the show to end.
I believe that's accurate, sir.
That's usually how it goes.
Mhm.
It is a nice sipping beverage, and it is done. I do have one of our Brewhouse cups. Brewhouse had a
See, there you go.
employee party tonight for the wonderful staff going into a crazy year at the Brewhouse. If you are in the neighborhood, I think the Arsenal Liverpool game might be one that you would want to see at 3:00 on Thursday. That should be a wild one. I'll probably be up there for that. All kinds of games on Wednesday. If you're looking for pretty much any game anywhere in the world, you can watch it at the Brewhouse. And you can have an around the corner lager powered by our friends at NoFo Brewing. Go get you one of those. We'll have those in cans before the World Cup. Hopefully, fingers crossed. That's the plan. Especially if y'all keep buying them at the brew house and they keep having to order more. So we will hope to have those in cans for you to have at home in the home edition of the show. But until then, we'll be at the brew house next week for soccer over there as things start to heat up in the managerial carousel, in the silly season carousel. We'll see if Mauro Icardi has a new club, if somebody pays €9 million for him when he's out of contract in 6 months. Again, drunkenness from Galatasaray. We'll see if Manchester United has a manager. I'm going to bet no. We'll see if Chelsea has a manager. I'm going to bet yes. Celtic, we already know they're not going to have a full-time manager. they're going to do something stupid anyway. Aberdeen, we'll see what they end up doing. I don't think they're rushing into anything either. I think they're going to go long term with Lutz Pfannenstiel taking over. We'll see if he actually creates an identity and sticks with it for more than 18 months, like he
Olaf,
did in St. Louis.
Olaf Melberg, you're on the clock.
I mean, they had a really good year, and then they made a change halfway through their second year. So we go back to having an identity and having a backbone.
No.
Let's see, Aberdeen, you're on the clock. Hopefully your picks of the week go well. Hopefully you get a chance to check out SDH AM in the morning. What you got on the show, John?
Casey White's going to be at leadoff at 9:15, and then at 10 o'clock, we check in with the new owners of Hamilton Academical.
Aha!
And Rob Edwards, the founder of Morley Sports Management and the chairman of one of the other clubs that they currently own, Haverford West County AFC, is going to join us. And we're going to find out about what attracted them to Hamilton Academical, considering that they were in League One in the Scottish Pyramid, and they were hurting. And they were to the point to where they were not paying wages. And the manager was like, well, we'll put a squad together, but we don't know what it's going to look like. And they got the game physically was frozen out and postponed. So they were saved from that indignity. But new owner in MSM, we're going to have Rob Edwards on, the founder.
And where are they based?
Them's in England. They're in London, sir. So they are.
But what else do they own?
Oh, I was going to save that, but you want me to go ahead and tell it now?
Yes, you need to get people to come to the show to watch this because this is a crazy connection.
In May of 25, last May, they acquired a majority share of OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Yep.
And so it's listed as the future partnerships with OVW and Hamilton Academical will provide strategic and commercial opportunities for Haverford West, and this is an exciting period for the group. So maybe Al Snow is going to be cutting promos for Hamilton Academical. I don't know.
Oh my God. Ohio Valley Wrestling and Hamilton Academical. Things are getting crazy in the Scottish second tier.
And we will the third tier. They're in the League
Third
One.
tier. Sorry, not even in the second tier. They were in the second tier. Now they're in the third tier.
Yeah, they got minus 15-point penalties 2 consecutive seasons because of bad things that the ownership group did. And the SPFL finally said, you, sir, are unfit to be an owner, and so they were put up for sale. And so Morley Sports Management bought 97.5% of what they know as Hamilton Academical, and that's why they're in charge. But yeah, last May they bought a majority share of OVW Wrestling.
Chaos. That is what is happening in the lower divisions in Scotland and in Wales. Or is there a club in Wales, or is it in England? I thought they had a Welsh club.
Yeah, in Kimru, yeah, they do. It's in Wales.
Okay. So they have a Welsh club, they have a Scottish club, and they have Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Correct.
That makes total sense. We'll hear more about that on SDH AM tomorrow, along with Casey White. Morning Espresso in the morning. If you are not subscribed to the email list, you can get to that via any of our social media platforms. It is free. You'll get Morning Espresso delivered to your email box in the morning between 8 and 10 in the morning. Like it to be on the earlier side. Sometimes it's on the later side. It just depends. It depends on if people fire people in the morning, and sometimes you have to do a couple of rewrites of the newsletter, like today.
Yes.
And then they fired somebody else after I finished and put it out.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.
So you'll get that in the mornings as a free email. We have a new newsletter coming out later this week as well. So you might want to go ahead and get on the list, and then you'll get the first dibs on the new newsletter coming out later this week as we get ready for a very busy summer coming up in Atlanta and in the States. You can always get the podcast edition of Morning Espresso as well. So that's tomorrow. That will kind of set the agenda for the day. SDH AM, your conversation starter, and everything else on the SDH network as we get ready for Atlanta United training camp starting next week. The MLS rumor mill will be heating up. We'll be talking about that. You're going to have a lot of moves in all the other leagues in this hemisphere. The Mexican transfer window is getting a little crazy at the moment. Brazilian clubs, as they go into their state leagues, they start to ramp up. The Argentine clubs are into their preseason now. So River is making moves. Boca is making moves. All kinds of stuff happening. We'll try to cover all of it for you all over the world as best as we can on the SDH network. But that'll do it for soccer over there. Y'all have a good rest of the night. Good luck on your picks of the week, and we'll see you soon.